Rektygon, or Swaggy Swagster, is a player you've probably heard about recently if you've been keeping up with the community in any sense. He's recently had one of the most absurd grinds to the top that the game has ever seen. But getting this good didn't come without a fair bit of turbulence. So how did he get this good, and why have you probably not heard of a player of this caliber until this year? This is a story of Rektygon. Rektygon would first pick up Osu in January of 2016, although it would take him until March the next year to actually begin playing seriously. Throughout this first year of playing, he would gain a fair bit of skill across a couple of skill sets, with scores like Best Friends, Future Sun, and CBCC DT, along with a From Under cover choke and an FC on the easier Yomiuri. This would show a fair bit of versatility, which he would keep as he moved through the ranks, to the point where when he got to around rank 1k, he would begin to play a few tournaments, and find pretty impressive performances for a player of his rank. He would continue gaining skill after this, and quickly get to a much higher level than even before, advancing to the point where he was getting his first 500 and even his first 600 through flow aim. He had an extremely fast improvement rate, and that, along with his impressive tournament performances, would set him up as somebody who had the very real possibility of becoming one of the best the game had ever seen. But this improvement rate, which seemed to be such a blessing, would end up causing everything to come crashing down in December of 2018. This is because he'd come face to face with a wall and decide to go around it, cheating 2 plays on Doraemon and Inferno, one of which was his top play at the time. In his own words, this was the biggest blunder of his Osu career, and it was shocking to almost everyone when it came out, since he'd streamed the whole time, and he seemed to be legit in every way. This would obviously get him banned, but the far worse consequence was that it would cause people to lose a lot of faith in him, since when you look at the combo of an extremely quickly improving player, who from the outside seemed to get good at many genres of play overnight and excel at them, then it was pretty clear that all of his plays were hacked. This is combined with the weird fact that when he streamed, he had never had a hand cam. This made him have a pretty weak case for his legitimacy, and so when he began setting impressive scores again offline, they were seen as, well, not very legit. This wouldn't seem to deter him though, since as the weeks went on, he would gain a huge amount of skill, even setting a 727 PP score on Sog's comp. Along with this, he would also begin grinding speed, since he was fed up with it being much weaker than his flow and jump aim. This would cause him to increase greatly in skill, and so when he was finally unbanned on May 13th of 2019, he would begin to slowly earn back a catalog of impressive plays. Although he wouldn't immediately go for the flow aim maps, and would actually spend the majority of 2019 playing aim farm and practicing speed more, along with also spending a good amount of time playing precision aim, getting multiple 600s but no 700s. He would also not be able to play tournaments, which would mean his playstyle was pretty much the opposite of what it was before. But what this change would bring was the chance to go from very well-rounded to someone capable of playing basically every skill set in the entire game. This payoff would become more obvious when he'd start to set very impressive plays, like a Gabe Power FC worth 800 PP. This was a pretty sick score, but it also brought him a lot of attention, which in this case was mostly negative, since he'd FC'd the map in a single try while at rank 300 that had only been FC'd twice, once by a speed legend and once by a former number 1 player. And obviously on top of this, people's trust was still in shambles because of what had happened. For the time being though, he would just tough it out, and grind a lot of precision and flow aim, setting scores like a Road of Resistance 700 and a Burn This Moment Into the Retina of My Eye hidden Hard Rock 1 miss, as well as a 2 miss on the newer Yomiuri. This would be followed by an incredible performance in the Hard Rock Cup, with his team taking the number 1 spot. This was quite the improvement on his previous tournaments, and it especially highlighted how much his precision aim had improved since before his ban. This would also be followed by an Everything Will Freeze FC for the number 6 spot on the map, which once again highlighted how much his speed had improved. He would then participate in the United States Cup for his second time, where his team would have an incredible run, making it to the 2nd place spot only behind Vaxa and Idki in South California. Overall, everything seemed to be coming together to make the beginnings of a monster player, with great speed, precision, aim, and consistency. But things wouldn't stay like this forever, since while it wasn't quite as popular anymore, many people still hadn't changed their opinion on him in terms of legitimacy, despite him streaming with a hand cam almost the entire time since he was unbanned. And so, an Osu report thread was created which pointed out how many of his plays had been done in one try, calling him the one-try warrior. This report also pointed out how when he was asked to recreate his Braindog play with a hand cam, he was unable to do it. The thing about this report is that it got a lot of attention despite having a complete lack of evidence. Like, all of the points are valid, but they're all things a legit player could have done if they had some good and bad luck. This is why I don't think the report itself is very notable, but his response was, with a very high quality live play which was finally able to dispel the last of the criticism. And with that done, he was finally able to prove to everyone just how good he was. When looking at the plays so far, one might be thinking that none of his plays were absolutely mind-blowing yet. Well, that's because between mid-2020 and the start of 2021, he would seem to become almost an entirely different player. He'd begin with a 2-miss on the old Yomiuri, and then an FC on the 8-star Space Invaders, and then a 4-miss on this ICDD map. He would then get an endgame hidden double-time FC leading into OWC tryouts. OWC tryouts, which would go quite well for him, since on October 9th of 2020, he would officially make the US OWC team. This is in part because he was exceptionally well-rounded, but on top of this, he also excelled at skill sets which were more specialized, like speed and precision, which ended up making him a pretty vital part of the team. There were even multiple occasions where they'd put him on Hard Rock for free mod, and he would still manage to get one of the best scores in the lobby. And by this merit, he went on to have the highest average overall score of any player during the Winners Finals, and overall played exceptionally well. This time period would also come with many impressive solo scores, like a Flying Out into the Sky or Forms Diff FC, an Angreifer FC, a Sotark's Freedom Dive FC, and a Minarco Addiction Hard Rock 1-miss, with god-level accuracy, just to name a few. After OWC concluded though, he would have time to really show off just how much of a monster he was, with his second 800 coming from the new Yomiuri, which is followed by a Sound of the Glinting Blade FC, which is a 12-minute long consistency nightmare. At this time, he was, and had been, getting most of his best plays off consistency and flow aim, but he'd actually played a lot of DT at the same time. This was great for making him extremely well-rounded, but it also had the effect of pulling him away from some potential solo scores. This is why, when he decided to work on precision along with his already established skill set, he became something else entirely. Like, he was already quite good at precision, but after this, his skill with the mod seemed to get to the point where he could just begin throwing it on things that every other player in the game was trying no mod, and then FC. This started with Frozen Hard Rock, which is an absurd score, with absolutely wild strings. This would also be followed by a Minarco Addiction Hard Rock score, which has streams that are so spaced that he was only the 14th person to pass, and he only missed the FC by the last 3 notes of the map. He would then FC Freedom Dive Hard Rock, which is, well, crazy. He would follow this up with a Blue Zenith Hard Rock choke, and then the second best Hard Rock score on Uda, which would also just be mind-blowing. I think this was the point though, where his plays go from absolutely absurd to straight up unhinged. Like, the second 99% on the Sun, the Moon, the Stars.
Moon, your mom is you so far. I did it. I actually can't believe it. Dude, the nerves are... Dude, the nerves just kicked in! Dude! Oh my god! What is that? What the fridge? What the... Oh my... Oh my god!
Then Help Hard Rock.
Okay, nice, Alex. You actually FC'd.
What is this score?
Then an S rank on Monstrada's Road of Resistance. Then Yomiuri 900 PP, which choked 980 PP. Then a Freedom Dive 1K choke. Like, what? To say I was hyped to see a lot of these plays would be an understatement, since it feels like there was this gap after Idke stopped playing actively, where there was no man screaming while farming flow in, and that's just something I need in my life. And seeing how he's planning on sticking to precision, I'm extremely excited for what this year is going to be like for him. Rektygon is one of those players who you really have to watch out for. Crazy improvement, a versatile skill set, and the possibility of going much, much further with it. He's someone who's pushing the boundaries of what's been done before, and quickly becoming the driving force behind Flow Aim and Osu. And I think that's pretty awesome.